Okay, next we move to grammatical innovations. Certain unusual morpho-syntactic features also contribute to the overall strangeness or aberrancy of the language. Some examples are given below from Zhongzang. Okay, first, this language strangely has no morphological, does not mark morphological ergative or genitive case. That's really odd from a Tibetic point of view, right? The word for I is nga, and my book is also nga yihu. No inflection. The word for he or she, third person singular, is de, right? But if you say she ate bread, you just say de. No ergative case inflection, unlike Amdor or any other Tibetic language. De zite. Right? So this is really striking. Second, identity or syncretism of progressive and clause sequence marking. So the clause sequence marker is ni. That should sound very familiar, right? Many Tibetic languages have a similar form, ne or ni. But this form, ni, is also used in the progressive verb form. So, drinking booze is chang tongyi liu. Indo-Tibetan would say tunga yok, right? But they use the same form as the clause linker. Okay, third point, omissibility of copular verb in equational sentences. To say I'm Chinese, they would say nga jie right? Is of course from the Old Tibetan red. Right? But they can omit it and just say ngaja. That is odd. It's found only in this dialect, not in the other Tibetic languages in the Heisui County itself. So next we come to phonological innovations. As is well known, one's subgrouping efforts can only be as successful as the phonological reconstruction upon which it is based. Luckily, the sound system of Old Tibetan doesn't have to be reconstructed, really, right? Because the answers, because it is quite accurately codified by the traditional Tibetan script. Although, of course, sometimes you need to argue about what the actual sounds represented by, especially consonant clusters, the actual values must have been, right? For example, they have this interesting cluster, dB. The honorific word for head is dBu, right? Is that pronounced debu? We don't have any evidence for that. Okay, so the most conservative form of that is rbu, RB, right? In some cases, the word for 9, the gu, we're lucky to have East Polish evidence, dogo for 9. So that means the Tibetan D was realistic, right? Was one time either a part of the sesquisyllabic word or whatever. But we don't. I mean, there's room for interpretation. But in the main, the system of Old Tibetan doesn't have to be reconstructed, really. Phonological innovations of Tibetic languages can therefore be quite reliably established by comparing the modern Tibetic sound systems with that of Old Tibetan. However, phonological similarities of the following types must be discounted or discredited. First, inherited features or retained features, like obstruent voicing, cluster onsets, syllable codas, or broad typological traits like tonality, phonation types, syllable structure. So two Tibetic languages are not more similar to each other because they both have tones. Okay, third, garden variety or completely ordinary developments. Voicing-induced tonogenesis, cluster simplification, loss of codas. Okay, only cross-linguistically unusual sound changes are of value, such as Old Tibetan sk, becoming taku, right? That's a very striking sound change. Their word for sour is from Old Tibetan skur. Non-Tibetic examples discussed in the literature include Proto-Indo-European dua becoming Armenian yerk, or Proto-Manus, that's one of the Oceanic subgroups, ndr becoming Drehid, this dialect, k, right? These are what we must look for. If these unusual sound changes are shared between distinct dialects, these quirky innovations provide important probative evidence for subgrouping. So we'll examine some of the unusual sound changes in Eastern Chuna that I have discovered. First, one of them is spiratization of skr and skil, these two clusters. These two clusters turned respectively into palato-alveolar and retroflexed spirant. For example, to be afraid is sha from skrak. Be swollen is shan from skram. Sour is sh from written Tibetan skur. Grow is shi from Tibetan skye. Okay, the second unusual sound change is also about spirantization. Spirantization of a cluster composed of a liquid, R or L, plus an affricate, Ch or J. Okay, these became palato-alveolar spirants. For example, the word for tongue is sh, from Old Tibetan skye. Iron is sharu. It comes from Old Tibetan stjaks plus some unknown morpheme. The word for flea is yu, from written Tibetan ljiba, right? The word for change is je, from Old Tibetan rigye. Okay, third, merger of the lateral-based clusters. Written LH, probably pronounced chl, right? BL, probably pronounced bl, and RL or BRL, probably pronounced rl in the past. Unlike most Tibetic varieties, these sounds all merged into hl, pre-aspirated L, voiced pre-aspirated L, hl. So the word for to fall from height is long, from LHUNG. Solution or idea is hlo, from written Tibetan blo. Steam is hlampa, from written Tibetan erlampa. Okay, next we have the apocopy of R, or loss of R, without compensation. The Eastern Chuna reflexes of the Old Tibetan vowel plus R rhymes are identical with the corresponding vowel-only rhymes, suggesting earlier loss of R without phonological compensation. So the word for east and the word for meat are pronounced the same, sha, but they are different, right? And in Old Tibetan, shar and sha. Okay, the fifth unusual sound change is a merger, again a merger, but very strange one. Old Tibetan a and e merged into a different sound. So for example, the word for fish is nya. That sounds familiar, right? But what about the word for fire? The word for fire, written in Tibetan me, right? In some languages will have nye or mie or nye, right? But in this dialect, it's nya, exactly the same as the word for fish. A related sound change would turn AR rhyme and ER rhyme into a. The word for end is ts, from written Tibetan tsar. The word for star is gama from skarma. And the word for spleen is Ch.2 from written Tibetan Int'l, right? Okay, the sixth unusual sound change, again, is about developing of a new vowel that is not found in Old Tibetan. That is, the rhymes ad, ed, and od became a near-high front vowel e, whereas id and ud, id and ud, became a high front vowel e, maintaining the original high distinction. For example, the word for chew is di, from written Tibetan dad. The word for demon is di. So chew is di, and demon is di, right? The vowels are different. Okay, the seventh unusual sound change is the development of contrasting length in nasalized rhymes. Old Tibetan nasal coda rhymes became short nasalized vowels, while coalescence of open root syllables and nasal onset suffixes yielded long nasalized vowels, leading to a phonemic distinction between short on, pronounced in the following tone, nga, and on, versus long and on, pronounced on a level tone, non-phonemic level tone. These developments constitute a unique origin of contrastive length in nasalized vowels, itself rarely attested in Tibetic. Right? I'll consult my Tibetic colleagues. Contrastive lengths in the modern dialects are very unusual. For example, the word for beer is chong, from chong, right? The word for spittle, on the other hand, is chong, from written Tibetan Int'l.